What's going on, guys? So today's video is going to be on the top follow-up tactics to actually drive as many deals through your pipeline as possible and close as many as possible. Now, there's actually this fine equilibrium within follow-up tactics that you need to understand before you even drive into it, which is you have this point of reference that you don't want to be annoying and you don't want to over follow up. And then you have this point of reference on the other end of the spectrum where it's like if you don't follow up early enough, close enough to the pitch, the initial pitch that happened, then you might actually lose that sale because usually people are more excited to proceed when they're closer to the initial pitch, when they just heard about the program, when they're just heard about this product or service that's coming to market, right? So that's usually when the closing zone, if you want to call it that, the closing zone is usually highest probability close enough to the initial pitch where they went through the demo, where they've seen what you had to offer, and they've decided that it was something lucrative enough for them to, either consider or say no to or proceed with, whatever the option is. But your goal is to get a decision. Your goal is to get a decision. I want to reiterate that. This is not fluffy. You are not being a fluffy salesperson and saying, oh, sure, sounds good, Susan, I'll talk to you next week. This isn't a good time for you to talk. Well, great, I'll talk to you next week. No, like you can't be a pushover. You have to get the decision out of the prospect. Tell them not to waste your time. Tell them, hey, I just need a decision from you. Could be a yes, could be a no, could be a maybe, but we have to mark you in our, we have to, mark your file down as whatever the outcome will be here in order to process and push through to our next couple deals here, right? Or whatever it is, right? Like you don't have to say it exactly like that, but the idea is that your goal is to push people through a pipeline. So your goal is to start with as many booked calls as possible. So as a service business, your primary way of driving leads and sales is through booking of calls initially, unless you have some kind of automated funnel, in which case you're taking payments online, but we're just gonna stray away from that for now and stick to traditional business. You book calls, from those book calls, you have meaningful conversations, okay? So those so every 100 booked calls, you might have like 40 meaningful conversations, right? And every, after meaningful conversations, your goal is to send them a contract, right? And after they receive a contract, your goal is to either close them as a win or close them as a loss. But the word close them is essentially wrap up that deal. Do not allow within your CRM or with whatever tracking system you're using, do not allow for deals to just sit in meaningful convo without being sent a contract, right? Or don't allow deals to be sitting in contract sent without getting a decision on whether they're proceeding or not, whether it's closed, won, or lost, right? So the idea here is that first you need to understand the holistic approach behind your pipeline, which is book your calls, get as many meaningful conversations as possible, send as many contracts as possible, close as many deals as possible, or lose, right? But the idea is that you're transferring these orange lines, pushing them here, then pushing them here, then pushing them here, and then pushing them finally, or whatever, right? The idea is to close them. And so you're gonna have more deals in closed lost than you will in closed won. So keep that in mind. So you will people average around 10 to 30% close rates usually. So if you're able to get 10 to 30% close rate, that means that, like 90 to 70% of your deals will sit in closed lost anyways, because you're only closing 10 to 30%. So follow up with value. Okay, this is the number one thing that I'm going to stop here because this is a number one thing to know. All these people, when they follow up, they say, hey, Susan, I just wanted to check in with you, see how you were doing with regards to our program. We've done X, Y, and Z for this many people, blah, blah, blah. If you wanted to reconsider it, let me know. Let's hop on a call. I'd love to answer your questions. Like, those are classic follow-ups, right? You don't want to be classic. Your follow-up needs to stand out. It needs to be something so different than usual follow-up. So what we do at Variance is we follow up with value. So for example, if I'm about to sell you on a paid advertising program where I'm literally running ads for you, building a whole nurture sequence and driving leads and sales for you, I might, instead of saying, hey, Susan, just checking in here to see what your decision is, instead of following up like that, I might get my media team to literally create an ad for Susan. So I have an ad that's been created for Susan, completely free. Susan's not even been a customer yet. Susan's just a lead. I'm following up with her, right? So I got my media team to create an ad preemptively before Susan even moved forward with the contract. She has an ad that my team designed already, and I ship that to her. And I say, hey, Susan, following up on that paid advertising project we spoke about last week, my team actually put together a preliminary advertisement for you. Take a look at it. It's right here. Here's the link to access it. This is the type of ad you could see, in terms of just a cold traffic ad, but we also run retargeting ads, in which case you'll see be about 15 to 25 of these created for your brand alongside all these other things. Here's what Chris was able to do. Here's what John was able to do on this program. Here's what, Nancy was able to do on this program. So Susan, let me know if you want to meet for a call. So the difference between those two follow-ups is the first one focused on, hey, I'm checking in, I'm focusing on myself, I want to get my sale as the salesperson, and trying to call that lead. You're not focusing on the lead, right? The whole point in following up is focusing on the lead so that they feel like this solution you provide, it's actually well aligned with like what they're doing, right? And so what we do is we always follow up with value. Now you can follow up, you can record a video of yourself, discussing, Susan's situation and how you exactly plan on helping Susan. Right? So that could be something that, Susan would appreciate. Imagine getting a video instead of just saying, hey, just wanted to check in, and follow up with you. The word check in is so annoying. Like, instead of that, you just send the client a video saying, hey, Susan, I just made this quick video for you because I'm really excited to onboard you as a client and really already spoke about you to my management team. So I made this quick video for you on how we're planning on tackling your project. In which case, Susan gets an email or a text with a video of your face in it, right? It's such a different way to follow up, and you're giving her so much value because you're literally giving her a personalized approach on how you guys plan on tackling her project specifically, right? And she'll know that not every client gets that. Not every client gets that treatment. Now, here's the catch. When you start building proper follow-up tactics into your sales team and in your personal sales initiatives, all these clients start to feel like, whoa, I'm getting hyper-personalized follow-up tactics. But in reality, you're just doing that to everyone. You're just doing the same follow-up tactics to everyone, making them videos, making them ads, right? Making them, an email template, right? Showing them whatever, right? Like whatever your service offers. If you're an accountant, you might want to give them, give them like an example of like, what your reports will look like and show them exactly what your year-end reports would look like and why those reports might be different than, let's just say, the other accounting professionals that exist in your municipality, right? Like show them why they would want to buy from you, right? Here's an example of what you can expect in proceeding with us, Susan. Just wanted to follow up on our accounting project that we discussed last week. I'm so excited to take over your plan. Take a look at these testimonial videos of clients that I've currently served in the past and helped them with their bookkeeping. But also here's this, 3-month subscription to QuickBooks so you can get your accounting done for you completely free of charge using the software for QuickBooks. Whether we decide to transact or not, Susan, that's okay. Just wanted to follow up on our plan to see if we are going to proceed. But either way, here's this 3-month free QuickBooks subscription, which is an accounting software that she can use, right? So she would get that free value. And then she'd be more likely to proceed with the plan because you're going to include testimonials, you're going to include social proof. Now you can do this over the phone, you can do this over an email, you can do this over a DM, you can do this, it doesn't really matter how you do this. But that goes into the next point here, which is use various communication channels. Don't just rely on phone only. Hit them with a text, right? Hit them with a Instagram direct message, right? Hit them with a Facebook Messenger conversation, right? Do whatever you can to hit this prospect as close as possible to the initial pitch, which is the closing zone, right? You must use Google invites or any kind of Outlook invite, anything that holds them accountable to a calendar invitation that they are supposed to be RSVPing on. Even if you're just calling a prospect, what I'd like to do is send them a Google invite for 10 minutes from now and then call them in 10 minutes. That way they had that heads up that I was about to call them. I always use Google invites with any possible touch point I have with any customer. That way I can also track when I was reaching out to these people. And keep in mind, closing zone for follow-ups is as close as possible to the initial pitch. So if you're going 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out from the initial follow-up, like unless they had a kind of either a really tangible maybe or a yes at that point, like there's no reason to continue those conversations. Unless you have really high, longer sales cycles because you're dealing with high ticket clients, in which case those sales cycles can go from 6 to 12 months. I've been through lots of enterprise sales cycles. I definitely know what that's like. But for the sake of most of your deals, the closing, if someone wants to buy something, they're going to buy it. They're not going to take 60 to 100 days to decide if they want to buy something, right? So you just need to build the value enough on the spot to get them to purchase as fast as possible, in which case your follow-ups also need to be as close as possible to the initial pitch. So with us, what I like to do is like if I have a demo and it's either they're saying yes, no, or maybe on that call, on that first demo. If it's a no, I hang up the call, say thank you so much for your time, and I never talk to that lead again, and I move them to close, lost, right? But if it's a maybe, then if it's a yes, then I'll take the payment right then and there on the call. If it's a maybe, then what I'll do is I'll schedule what's called a proposal review session. Now, this is a session that's usually 24 to 48 hours from the initial demo, and it's a carved out appointment on the calendar to allow for discussion about the proposal and get a decision on that date, right? And that usually we schedule that out 24 to 48 hours from the initial sales call. So make sure you understand that. Don't go too long with your follow-ups. Don't let Susan say, oh, how's next week on Thursday? No, Susan, we're packed. I'm already proceeding with so many clients. Like I don't have the bandwidth to talk to you then. Like it's really just if you want to chat, like let's chat either on Friday of this week or we chat tomorrow. Like those are the only two availabilities I have, Susan. My calendar's packed. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like our service is selling like wildfire, or whatever, right? And so the idea is you build time sensitivity, urgency, scarcity, all these different things to get Susan to book tomorrow or the day after. But it's very important that Susan books tomorrow or the day after and not a week later, because you're going to lose the closing momentum. It's kind of like this like threshold of momentum, like this inertia that you have after the initial pitch. And if you wait too long, you're literally losing that every second. Log all your conversations properly in the CRM, and here's why. It's not because you want to be, everyone's lazy when it comes to sales and they don't want to log their CRM. Like we have that with our sales team and I make sure they're logging the CRM. But here's why, because when you log the fact that this prospect likes the Toronto Raptors, maybe you guys were discussing in a conversation that, and somehow the Toronto Raptors came up in conversation, you could log that in the CRM. Now your CRM could be HubSpot, you could use any kind of different, CRM, doesn't really matter. We'll get into that in another video. But you need to log the conversation, take a note of the conversation that you had with the prospect, and what was discovered on that conversation that wasn't discovered in previous conversations. You must put that in your CRM so that way you have this timeline of information to provide relevancy to your follow-ups. Now, any sales rep or you as the existing sales rep could call that prospect and read a whole bio within the CRM about what that prospect does and what the touch points and conversations were all about. So now when you're reaching out, it's a lot easier because you're on a one-to-one level and you're synchronized with the prospect because you guys are talking about the Raptors again, right? Because in your CRM, you wrote that and you made sure to take note of that. Or, for example, he wanted this specific detail in the program removed or one of them added additionally. So you have to be taking notes on these things so that when next time you follow up, you know what the agreement should incorporate in it, and you know essentially what to do in terms of proceeding that deal forward. So yeah, definitely log conversations. Don't be lazy. If you want to be, there's alphas and then there's betas, right? Like you could be a beta. Like you could be a lazy person that makes some sales and doesn't log the CRM, but gets by, like scrapes by and like earns an income, like does well, whatever. Or you could be an alpha, or you can be a superstar. You could be someone that literally logs the CRM, makes sure every conversation does not go undocumented, right? Like it's all documented, it's all understood so that you have the relevancy and intellect to be able to reach out and close that deal at any moment because you have all the information you need to do so, right? That's what alphas do, right? So anyways, what we like to do as well, a lot of this video has been already about like manual follow-up and how to actually follow up manually. But one thing you need to understand before you even start manual follow-up, what we like to do internally is enroll them in an auto follow-up sequence. So we put them through a 7 to 8 part email sequence that's actually manually adjusted based on the contract, based on the recording of the conversation, based on a few different things. And then we put the sales reps will use HubSpot to put in specific emails as templates, and they will go in through a sequence, a HubSpot sequence, in which case now those are pre-built email templates that go out to the prospect that show previous clients that have done our program, or show people who have gained results. If I was a dentist, I would have before and after pictures of a smile or like a veneers project or whatever it is. But the idea is you want to have a pre-built corporate-wide email sequence that all your sales reps are using to go ahead and send their prospects through an automated follow-up sequence. So that way those emails are going out anyways, and then the only thing that your sales reps need to do is call or text or DM. They don't need to focus on emails because those are already going out. And so another thing is learn when enough is enough. I never chase leads past 2 weeks. Like usually we cap it at 2 weeks. If you're not interested in proceeding after 2 weeks, we definitely stop the manual follow-up. Now, are you going to be getting our auto emails? Are you going to be enrolled through our nurture sequence, through our ads? Yeah, of course. And that's what's going to bring you back eventually. But we stop from a sales perspective following up with the client after 2 weeks just because our agency, we focus on building pipe. We focus on building pipeline more than focusing on specific deals. I don't need to focus on one deal and be hopeful that deal is going to close when I have 30 deals in my pipeline that need to be worked on, right? So that's what we focus on. That's the mindset you need. You need to have as many deals as possible in your pipeline so that you're not following up with leads past 2 weeks because you physically can't, because you have so many more deals in your pipeline to work on that might actually close, right? And so if you have that system in that mindset as well, you'll be able to succeed and learn when enough is enough. Because in sales and any kind of conversation with regards to transacting, there is positioning in place. So you can't lose your positioning. You are the doctor, you are the consultant, you are the person that they are lucky to work with. They are lucky to work with you, right? You're not begging for their business. They are lucky to work with you. Don't forget that, right? And if that's the mindset, then you will never follow up past 2 weeks, because someone who knows that you're lucky to work with me, trust me, I'm not following up past 2 weeks because I'm not losing my positioning. Now, you are going to get hit with my ads. You are going to get hit with my emails over time, and that will bring you back. And the reason why you're going to come back is because I never lost my positioning. I never begged for the sale. I never kept following up. I said, okay, 2 weeks max. And then now you're getting hit with all these corporate-wide retargeting initiatives like emails and ads. And then now you're seeing the proof in the pudding. You're seeing all the things that we do. And then you come back and book a call and you want to proceed. Why? Because I didn't lose my positioning and I didn't proceed following up past 2 weeks, right? So don't lose that. It might seem like right now that lead might not close. Right now it might not close. But hey, don't lose your positioning, because in a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, they might close. So don't lose your positioning ever. Now, to push deals forward, every touch point needs a call to action. This is one of my favorite points. So, a lot of people, they call prospects and they don't have a call to action at the end of the call. So when I say call to action, I don't mean like a little button on your landing page saying download this video. Like, I'm not saying, I don't mean like that kind of call to action. I mean, there needs to be an action step that occurs after the last call. What is the action step after this call? That must be understood. So for example, if I was in the booked call phase and I was speaking to someone that was on a booked call, the action step is to have a meaningful conversation with them now, right? So now I need to call them. So I call them, right? And I have a meaningful conversation with them now. And now the action step after on this meaningful conversation I'm having, this demo that I'm having, this action, the next action is sending them a contract. So that's the call to action at the end. So on the follow-up, on the meaningful, convo follow-ups, you're asking for contract details. You're asking for their legal address. You're asking for the contract details so you can fill the contract and send that out. That's the call to action. You always need to know where the deal is in the pipeline, because if the deal is here and there's a contract that's sent, but you're treating them as if they just had a meaningful conversation, you're not discussing the actual contract line items to try and close them and proceed, that's because you didn't know where the deal was, right? You have to maintain your pipeline and know where your deals are and have calls to action for every single communication touch point you have with your prospects. All right, I just spoke to you, but I didn't shoot the shit with you today for no reason. I want something done. So what's that thing done? Is it proceed and sign the contract? Is it submit the initial deposit? Is it, what is it? Is it building rapport with them, having a meaningful conversation, in which case then I'm just schmoozing with them, right? But the idea is that every conversation at the end must have a call to action, right? Must have a next step that happens. And your goal is to persuade them to achieve that next step, right? That is the goal of every follow-up. And if you're not doing that, then you're not following up properly. Okay? Make sure you have a parent-nurture email sequence. So this is a parent-nurture email sequence. This is essentially, you can use ActiveCampaign, you can use HubSpot, you can use Klaviyo, you can use all these different tools like MailChimp, etc. But anyone who signs up with you, who books a call with you, anyone who ends up here on booked call, must automatically get enrolled into a parent email nurture sequence. Now, this is an email nurture sequence that's going to be like 25 to like 45 emails that get dripped and sent out over a 30 to 90 day period, okay? And these emails are going to show case studies, testimonials, past clients who've done well with your program, who've literally killed it with your program. You'll be a dentist, and you're going to send lots of before and afters of smiles. Accountant, showing lots of videos of clients who saved taxes, right? If you're in a marketer, show lots of calendars and appointments and videos of people saying that, hey, it's been great, right? So that's the reality, right? You need to put them through a parent nurture sequence. And so that's why when you stop following up after 2 weeks, they're still going through that parent email nurture sequence. They're still getting proof in the pudding being thrown at their face all over and over and over again. And also now if you really want to take that on steroids, you're going to follow up with value, build value into the parent nurture sequences. So you can give them like spreadsheets, ebooks, giveaways on top of social proof about the program. That's when your nurture sequence is going to be crazy, when you have valuable stuff being given to them automatically. And then make sure you have a social proof oriented retargeting ad strategy. So anyone who comes to your website, anyone who books a call with you, make sure that they are being enrolled into a Facebook, Instagram retargeting ad sequence. Now, this is a sequence of ads that do the same thing. They show other people in the program. If it's a weight loss program, show people losing weight. If it's a dental program, show the dentist. If it's marketing program, show that. Show it, right? Show what you're able to do. They need to see the outcomes. No one cares about methods. Don't be following up and telling them, yeah, the line item we're going to do is this and this and this, and then we're going to do this and this and this for you. No one cares about the methods. People care about the outcomes. It's not about what it took to get there. It's about what the hell I'm getting, right? So with our program, you're going to go from $0 to $1 million in annual recurring revenue within 12 months, right? That's an outcome, right? I'm not saying, oh, you're getting SEO, you're getting a technical schema markup developed for you, you're getting, landing pages done. I don't care about the line items. Line items don't matter. I'm focusing on the outcomes of the sale. I'm focusing on the outcomes, the utility that my prospect, that my lead is going to get from my product or my service. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm talking about only that. I don't care about the rest. And if they have questions about the methods, then I'll answer their questions about the methods. But people buy outcomes. They don't buy methods. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you follow up properly. Cheers.